Hey, thanks for tuning in. Today I wanted to discuss fluoroquinolone toxicity, and if you're not familiar with it, you might want to stick around just because it's something that's pretty serious, it's life-changing, and it happens to more people than you might think. It's to tell a little bit about it, what it is it's an antibiotic that's given at times for something as simple as a sinus infection or a urinary tract infection, and ends up disabling the person permanently in cases, or even causes death. So, if you've taken an antibiotic by the name of Levaquin or Cipro, or levofloxacin, ciprofloxacin, those types of things, those are fluoroquinolones. There's another one, Avalox, I believe, in the mix. All of those are dangerous for certain individuals, and you never know if it's going to be you until you find out the hard way. Which I did. And what I want to do today is go into a little bit about my story, along with an item that helped me immensely recover from what was a nightmare, a living nightmare. Basically, my story flashes back to 2005. I was a writer working at home at the time. I had diverticulitis, and they prescribed me a course of Levaquin. When that didn't clear up my diverticulitis, my colon infection, they kept prescribing it. I believe I was on about a month of this antibiotic, and over time was not feeling well. I started to not feel well. I let the doctor know. He told me to continue on, and I did as a good somebody that was trusting my doctor. But one day working, just sitting at a typewriter, I couldn't lift my arms all of a sudden. It became, every body part in me became weak, to the point of I could hardly crawl to the bathroom. I did. I was able to stand up. I was able to pee, and the pee came out pink, which I later found out is usually meaning that I was suffering from rhabdomyolysis, which is very scary. And since I have suffered again from it and been diagnosed, but it turned out it was rhabdomyolysis at the time. I have one kidney, and rhabdomyolysis is basically the fast breakdown of muscles in your body, so that it needs to be excreted through your kidneys. And I only have one, so I'm lucky to be here because I did not seek medical treatment. I was so ill, I just crawled into bed and slept for 4 days. After those 4 days of waking up after this reaction, I was in pain. I had horrible weakness, horrible anxiety, horrible insomnia, an array of horrible, horrible symptoms, to where I could hardly move. I was close to getting a wheelchair. I went to my doctor. He couldn't figure out what's wrong. All my tests came back normal. He said it couldn't have been the antibiotic. He said it sounded like heavy metal poisoning, blah, 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 but they never had a diagnosis. And they never had a way to help me aside from opiate pain medications, which I did take for a long time. They did help me function somewhat, not much, but I have a little bit of an addiction problem, so they weren't the best. It wasn't the best to be giving somebody that has a problem with addiction a handload of OxyContin and oxycodone. So that didn't work out so well. I eventually had to quit. But a little bit more about my story. In 2005, this happened. For the first 2 years, I was bedridden, completely bedridden. If I needed to pee, if I needed to make something to eat, I was crawling because my muscles hurt so bad, my ligaments, my tendons felt like they were about to break. So I would often crawl because that was my only option. To whatever I needed to do. Very difficult first 2 years, very depressing, spent just my whole life in bed. After that, I was able to start moving around a little bit better. I started using some yoga, which was slow and hard to get going because my muscles were so stiff and hard. But eventually I was able to start getting yoga going and can do, finally able to touch my toes and go further than that even. And so it was really cool to be able to do that. And it did help with some of the muscle aches and stuff. But I had a horrible weakness in my body. I had horrible, constant, chronic pain. It was a nerve pain. It was muscle pain, joint pain, and it was all the time. It had nothing to do with movement. It was a constant, and it was a nightmare. It would reduce me to tears at times, to be honest. It was very bad. So I have a deep sympathy for anybody right now that is suffering through that, because I know that pain and I know how it feels, and it's not. Nobody understands until it's happened. There was just so many other symptoms along with that as well, but man, the pain was bad. Anyways, flash forward, I did start doing the stretching, I started doing the exercises, but I still wasn't well. And it actually took me 12 years of living like this, where actually I ended up, because of my illness, I lost my business first off. I couldn't write anymore, so business out the door. I lost my wife. I lost my family, my kids. They left because of my illness. I was irritable. I was in a bad mood because, you know, and I was 2 years in bed, and then 3, and you know, people started questioning. The doctors aren't saying you're sick, and I don't think anybody really believed how sick I was. You know, I looked fine. They couldn't tell. So, but I was very sick, and felt like I was on death's door. So I lost a lot. I lost my, you know, my house, my income, everything I had, and had to move home with my mom to be able to live. Because I could no longer work. So flashing forward to 12 years out from my first reaction to this, from being disabled, from being a little bit above bedridden if I used some opiates to get out and be able to do something, and then pay for it the next day, where I'd be bedridden for a couple of days, 2-3 days afterwards. I would do that sometimes, but it wasn't pleasant. So basically what happened was I found magnesium. Now, I had tried magnesium before because I hear that the body's depleted of magnesium with these fluoroquinolone toxicities, but I hadn't tried it in a very high dose. I took the recommended dose, which was 400 milligrams. Now, let me start by saying that I'm not saying go ahead and go out and buy a giant bottle of magnesium and start pouring it down your throat. I'm not a doctor. I don't know that this will be the cure for you. It worked for me. Please don't take my medical advice. Please do your own research. Please make your own decisions. But I just want to share my own experience. Was I found out that for every pound of body weight, if I take 5 milligrams of magnesium, my pain went away almost entirely. If I did nothing strenuous that day and just kind of chilled around the house and did light duty, very light, and rested a lot and still laid in bed and stuff, I didn't have that constant chronic pain, which was a godsend. It was a blessing, because I had not lived like that in so long. I had had this constant pain nagging at me, haunting me, that finally being able to be free of that was amazing. So what I ended up doing to get that much magnesium in my system, because it's hard to do so, because with magnesium you really have to be careful, because you'll have some stomach upset and you'll lose the magnesium you just put in yourself through diarrhea, because your stomach can only take so much. So what I did was I supplemented with about 600 milligrams a day of regular magnesium glycinate, which is a highly absorbable kind, and then I also used a magnesium chloride spray, which I sprayed on my body and let that rub in. That actually bypasses the digestive tract, so that you're not getting the diarrhea. So I was able to get like another 700 milligrams that way by doing sprays in different parts of my body and rubbing it in throughout the day. Within the first day of starting to take 1,300 milligrams, I was a bit heavier at the time, so 1,300 milligrams was my dose. Within starting taking that, I noticed immediately dramatic results. I noticed the first day that I felt better, and that pain was dissipating big time. By day 2, even better. By day 3, standing again. Not having such weakness that I had had before that kept me in bed. Not having the pain, being able to do more. And as time progressed through weeks and months, I noticed I was getting better as I continued on with that magnesium protocol that I was using, which was wonderful. So what I'm just trying to share with people, because I do understand how hard it is to go through this, is that you might want to look at magnesium. You might want to look at getting more magnesium in your diet. Less calcium, more magnesium. My understanding of what's happened to me is that without magnesium in our body, which is depleted through the fluoroquinolone toxicity, we are having calcium that's kind of wild, going, where do I go? Because magnesium puts it in its place. So if you have that problem, the calcium is going to go into your muscles and your, different places it's not meant to be, and that's why you can feel some hard to stretch, hard to move, stiffness, that kind of thing. I believe is because the calcium is settled into the wrong areas. But add in some magnesium, is my understanding, and that should go away. At least in my case, it did. So I'm not saying to just go ahead and do it. Don't take my word for it. Please research further. But I am saying to take a look at it and maybe discuss it with your doctor. Now, you know, I have a few other things that I use as well, and you know, I understand how hard it can be to be in this situation right now. I was there, and I was looking. I was desperate for anything to take the pain away, anything to help me out. So please, if you need somebody to talk to, if you need somebody to help, if you have any questions, please hit me up in the comments below. I would love to help. I would love to share what I have learned so far if I can, you know, and try to help you. I know how devastating it can be. I feel like I've gotten my life back a lot more than I'm able to now go out and do things. I'm able to have a social life again. I'm able to live somewhat of a normal life. It's not what it was before, and this could be a, you know, I maybe waited too long. Maybe I waited too long because I didn't, you know, start this protocol earlier in my, you know, 12 years of pain. I'm now in year 13 of being out from my toxicity. So I wish I would have started earlier. Maybe if you do, maybe it'll help you progress differently and you'll fully heal. I don't know, but I wanted to bring it up. I hope this video was helpful. If so, please give it a like, and please comment any questions, any suggestions, anything I can help with. Please do so below. Okay? Thanks for tuning in.